Will this be the year Carlos Alcaraz finally conquers the Rome tournament and sets a firm course toward Roland Garros? The young Spaniard has returned to competition with strength after an injury, and he's done so with a convincing win over Dusan Lajovic. But beyond the victory, his sights are set on a greater goal, avoiding Jannik Sinner until a potential final at the French Grand Slam. Rome hasn't historically been his best stage, but this 2025 edition could mark a turning point. Can he break the Italian curse and arrive in Paris as the top favorite? Carlos Alcaraz has kicked off his Rome campaign with a clear statement of intent. His 6-3 win over Lajovic confirmed two essential things: his physical condition is optimal after the injury sustained at the Conde de Godó, and his ambition to make a mark on the Italian clay remains intact. Despite being a tournament that hasn't brought him much joy, the Mercian has arrived determined to reverse that trend. This time, Rome is not just a stop before Roland Garros, but a strategic opportunity to gain rhythm, confidence, and above all, valuable ranking points. Alcaraz's record in the Italian capital is sparse and bittersweet. He has missed several editions due to injuries and only played there in 2023, when he was stunned by Hungarian qualifier Fabian Marozsan. That match showed a rare image of the Spaniard, disconnected, without answers, and out of rhythm. Since then, Rome became unfinished business. In 2025, he's back determined to rewrite that chapter and use this tournament as a springboard. Winning here would not only be symbolic, but could also be key in the race to climb the ATP rankings. Currently, Alcaraz is ranked number 3 in the world and has Alexander Zverev within reach, Zverev being the defending champion and world number 2. The German is defending 1,000 points, while Carlos has nothing to lose. This allows him to freely add points, and if he performs well in Rome, he could overtake Zverev. That small difference is crucial because, if achieved, he would become the second seed at Roland Garros. The advantage? Avoiding Jannik Sinner until a potential final. In long and grueling tournaments like Grand Slams, that kind of detail can completely alter a player's fate. Avoiding Sinner is not just a comfort strategy, it's a tactical necessity. The Italian is hungry for revenge, fresher than his rivals after recent rest, and eager to make up ground after a recent suspension. His aggressive style and growing confidence have made him one of the most dangerous players on tour. Alcaraz has deep respect for him, as shown in his post-match comments. "I needed him on tour. He pushes me to give my best and makes tennis more exciting for everyone." But at the same time, he knows that facing him in the early rounds could be an unnecessary risk. Roland Garros is the second major goal of the year, and Alcaraz wants to arrive there in top form. He has already shown he can rise to big occasions. He has won all 4 Grand Slam finals he's played, a stunning statistic for such a young player. Additionally, out of the 25 finals he's reached in his career, he has only lost 5. Clearly, in decisive moments, he's a formidable competitor. That's why conserving energy and avoiding an early clash with Sinner could mean the difference between glory and an early exit. Beyond rankings and matchups, Rome represents a personal battle for Alcaraz. It's the only major clay court tournament that still eludes him. He has already conquered Monte Carlo, as well as Madrid and Roland Garros. Winning at the Foro Italico would complete his collection of major clay events and prove that he has reached full maturity as a player. Unlike previous years, he now comes with a more versatile game, a more powerful serve, and a calmer mindset. He's no longer just a promise, he's a reality aiming for total domination. And we can't forget that we are at a key point in the season. After Rome come intense weeks with Roland Garros and then Wimbledon. The stretch from May to July is crucial in the race for world number 1. Alcaraz knows it, and that's why he has marked Rome in red. It's not just about physical preparation, but about sending a message to the circuit: he's ready to take back control. Every win in Italy is another step toward the top, and a way to leave behind the doubts raised by his recent ups and downs. Finally, there's something else at stake: the narrative. In sports, every career is made up of moments of redemption. And Rome could be one of those for Alcaraz. Winning on a court that once made him suffer would be a symbol of growth, strength, and maturity. It would also allow him to arrive at Roland Garros not only with points but with his head held high. In tennis, as in life, sometimes the toughest rival is not the one across the net, but the ghosts of the past. And Carlos is determined to exorcise them one by one. Carlos Alcaraz is facing much more than a tournament in Rome. It's a testing ground, an emotional rematch, and a key opportunity to define his path toward Roland Garros. Winning here could mean avoiding Jannik Sinner in the early rounds of the French Grand Slam and securing a privileged spot in the world rankings. But beyond strategy, it's also a matter of pride and personal evolution. The Spaniard has the talent, the experience, and now, the motivation to turn his weaknesses into strengths. If he manages to conquer Rome, or at least advance deep, he'll arrive in Paris as a more complete, dangerous, and confident rival. The journey to another Grand Slam title begins here. What is the real relationship between Carlos Alcaraz and his coach Juan Carlos Ferrero? The young Spanish champion, who just returned to competition at the Rome Masters 1000 after an injury, has offered a glimpse into his personal and professional world. And he did so following the release of his Netflix documentary, which has sparked a wave of reactions across the tour. Beyond tennis, Alcaraz has shared sincerely how he handles differences with his team, especially with Ferrero, a key figure in his career. What does this reveal about his mindset and his evolution as a player? Carlos Alcaraz is living one of the most intense moments of his career, both on and off the court. After missing Madrid due to a right adductor injury, he returned to action in Rome with renewed strength. But not everything has been about rackets and matches. The release of his Netflix documentary has brought him to a new level of media exposure. At a press conference, he admitted he was nervous at first about how the public would receive it, but was pleasantly surprised. Many ATP colleagues congratulated him on the authenticity of the content, which gave him confidence in the message it conveys. One of the most highlighted parts of the documentary is the relationship between Alcaraz and his coach, former world number 1 Juan Carlos Ferrero. In recent interviews, Carlos acknowledged that while there are no direct confrontations, there are differences in how they view daily life as professionals. He explained that his team sometimes doesn't understand his need to enjoy life, to not take everything with the extreme seriousness that characterizes many elite athletes. And although that can sometimes cause tension, he prefers to follow his own path, trusting his instincts. Alcaraz made it clear that these differences are not signs of fracture, but part of a healthy relationship. According to him, conversations with Ferrero and the rest of the team are constant and necessary. They don't always agree, but everyone knows they share the same goal. For the Mercian, that dynamic of debate and mutual understanding is, in fact, beautiful. It allows him to grow, learn, and stay emotionally connected to what he does, without losing his essence as a person. This kind of honesty is rare in the tennis world, and it shows surprising maturity for someone only 22 years old. This way of seeing the sport, where personal happiness also has a place, might be one of the keys to his success. Alcaraz doesn't just want to be a champion, he wants to be a balanced human being. He knows not everyone understands his approach to living tennis, but insists he won't change his philosophy. His inner circle, family, friends, and team, is his guide, and even though there may be disagreements at times, it doesn't stop them from rowing in the same direction. Ultimately, his relationship with Ferrero remains one of the cornerstones of his career, a blend of demand, respect, and understanding. Carlos Alcaraz has shown that the road to the top of tennis doesn't have to be rigid or predefined. Through his documentary, his statements, and his way of living the sport, he makes it clear that he seeks a career built on emotional balance, without giving up his authenticity. The differences with his coach are not an obstacle but a source of mutual learning and growth. This unconventional yet powerful vision may be one of the great secrets behind his rapid rise. Alcaraz doesn't just want to win, he wants to do it his way, enjoying the journey. Can an injury be a blessing in disguise? Carlos Alcaraz, one of the most promising players on the tour, has returned to the courts at the Rome Masters 1000 with an unexpected confession. After recovering from a right adductor injury that kept him out of the Madrid tournament, the Spaniard acknowledged that his time away brought more than frustration, it offered a valuable mental break. Rather than sinking, Alcaraz used the adversity to reconnect with his environment and, above all, with himself. What impact did this break really have on his return to competition? Carlos Alcaraz arrived in Rome with physical doubts after his forced absence from Madrid. The injury sustained in the Conde de Godó final against Holger Rune prevented him from performing at his best in that match and forced him to stop during a critical part of the clay court swing. But on his return, he surprised everyone not just with his level, but with his words. "I've passed the test," he said with a smile, making it clear that the recovery was more than physical. During his time off, he was able to spend more time with friends and family, something rare in the routine of a professional tennis player. That contact with his inner circle helped him disconnect and regain mental energy. For a player like Alcaraz, so young and under intense media pressure, each season is an emotional roller coaster. Injuries like the one that sidelined him in Madrid can be devastating for any athlete's morale. However, instead of lamenting, the Mercian chose to see the positive side. He used the time to recharge and return with a clearer mindset. "I always try to find the positive in any situation," he explained, reflecting a maturity well beyond his 22 years. And that approach could be key in this demanding stretch of the season. On court, his initial performance in Rome showed he hasn't lost rhythm. With agile movement and solid play, he left physical doubts behind and reconnected with his best version. But the most revealing part is off the court. Alcaraz admitted he was surprised at how well he handled the situation. He said he enjoyed that break and that it even helped him refresh his mind. In a sport as demanding as tennis, where every week counts, this forced pause turned into an opportunity for personal and professional growth.